Oh, Jake. Go ahead and pan over there, Jake. That's a big one, too. There's about 6 of them, but one of them was a big one. Oh, hey. Got him. Got him. Coming up to my right, too. Oh, that's not the big one. That was a bite right there. Absolutely murdered it. Big, healthy Lake Fork bass on a topwater. Super shallow. You can see I got a little secondary point in front of me. But it's just that time of year when you got to keep your eyes peeled. I pushed some bait with my boat probably. And they came up schooling even shallower up in this pocket. I threw that 6-inch catwalk over there and got one to eat it. Right there. Beautiful Lake Fork bass. There was one in there about twice that size. See if we can not get hooked with those Gamakatsus, but that's what we're doing. Pulling up on these shallow pockets and shallow points, fishing super shallow with that catwalk. And that's why you use that setup. Gamakatsus and that Halo HFX. That bait was barely in there. But like we talked about, it's not always picture perfect this time of year. You think they're right there, they come up schooling over here even further back in the pocket. Keep your eyes open and your rod in your hand. Catch one like that with a 6-inch catwalk.
Well, I'm at a place right now that the frog bite can really be really good at times. And that's when you really learn.
There he is.
Get in here! Wow, look at that. That was awesome. If you saw me, my reaction, what I did was, he missed it on the first time, right? I was patient enough, fortunately, and you can see his post-spawn fish. This fish is just getting off the beds. He's a little sore. I was patient. I kept working it, kept working it. Second strike, what happens? He commits to the bait, the frog disappears, and boom, you got him. Frog fishing. Loving it. Post-spawn. Come on! You know, I might walk the dog like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and pause it. 1, 2, pause it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pause it. So I'm really erratic, but I try to move, 3 to 5, walks in a row, and then I'll pause it. When I get out into open water like I am now, a lot of times I'll work it quick until I get to the next weed clump, and then I'll pause it. Just like you would, I always try to visualize what a frog's doing, where he may be laying up on a section of matted grass, and just sitting there in the safety of the canopy. And then once he decides to move and he's in open water, he scoots along until he gets to the next canopy. And that's what I try to do with my bait sometimes. But I keep it moving, and with the hollow belly, a lot of the time, I put a lot of pauses in there.
Rod-wise is kind of up to you on what you want to use. You want a rod stiff enough to get fish out of heavy cover, but you don't want to straighten that hook out every time you set the hook. So I just go with a 7.3 medium heavy. Some people use, I use my signature series ARC 7.3 medium heavy do-all, but we also have one called a 7.3 mag medium heavy, and I'll use it occasionally if I'm in heavy cover. But a 7.3 medium heavy, pretty basic, really is just, it's the best horny toad reel. So that's my setup on the horny toad. If you haven't thrown a buzzbait as much as I have, you would never realize it. But when I pick a buzzbait up, if I throw it for 8 hours, covering water, throwing it as many times as I can, every time you throw a buzzbait, they spin. It twists in the air, and there's no way to stop it. It just does it. So with mono, by the end of the day, every time you cast, your line will be looping around the tip of the rod. If you get a little slack in it, it wants to loop around the tip of the rod. Braid gets twisted, but you can't tell that bad. So you still have to change the line every day or 2 days if you throw a buzzbait like that. but I go with braid just because of efficiency. I don't ever get tangles, I don't get line wrapped around the rod, and you just go with a little bit softer rod. That's why I designed the buzzbait rod to be a little bit softer, because with braid, they can still get it. But my buzzbait, I designed this buzzbait for greenfish tackle. I made them for years myself, and then we ended up manufacturing some finally. And this Horny Toad's been on here a while, so it's starting to tear up. But this is a greenfish tackle toad toter buzzbait. And what I did, when I made mine for years, I used a drop shot mold, and actually, I'll just go ahead and tear this off so you can see, and casted the lead. I used to cast the weight on there when I made my own. But this is just a cylinder weight that's meant to slide entirely inside the Horny Toad. You don't want to hook it like nose up to it. You want entirely inside it. And what that allows, it allows you to skip the buzzbait and the fish get it better because you got all hook in the back of the Horny Toad. So with this Horny Toad on a buzzbait, it's a little different because you reel it extremely slow. It takes nothing to keep this bait on top. And that's one of the good things about it. When you're covering water with it, it's easy to keep it on top. Like when it lands, it immediately comes back up. But you can reel it extremely slow. I mean, I would almost say it's borderline like wake bait to keep it up. So that's why I love throwing this Horny Toad on the buzzbait. It's real effective for getting it up in the strike zone, which is the top, obviously, as quick as possible. But when I'm targeting, like deciding where I'm gonna throw this, it's gonna sound cliche, but it's really putting your trolling motor down and burning down the bank. With a buzzbait, that's why I love it so much. It shines the most when it's a tough time of year. And with that being said, during a tough time of year, a lot of times it's tough because there's not groups of fish. So I like to keep the boat moving. I'm fishing, when I'm throwing a buzzbait primarily, I'm targeting not schools of fish because you're fishing, top water. There's probably not a big school there, but I'm trying to catch that one fish and hit as many likely targets as possible. And it's a great bait for doing that because you don't have to slow down that much to do that. And it shines the most. I've done real well in late summer tournaments when the bite is just a little tough because you can cover water so fast with it. Technique with the buzzbait is actually, it's pretty simple. It's cast and reel. The only thing I tend to do is when I come through a likely area, I don't do it unless I wait to see if I don't get a bite. Like when I'm coming across one of those grass points, something like that, I just reel it basically steady. But then when it's getting to a likely looking spot, I'll kind of give it a little pop or like just a little change in cadence. And a lot of times it'll trigger one to bite, but I wait till it gets just past that strike zone because sometimes it'll spook one off. So I'll throw it to that likely looking spot and then do that after it gets 2-3 feet past it in case one's trailing it. And this is a good area, like switching back and forth between the buzzbait and Horny Toad. This grass is getting just a little too thick to, I would say, be effective with the buzzbait. So I switch back and forth so I can get this Horny Toad back in the grass a little bit. It's kind of skiing across some of the grass, but that's okay. Anything the fish is eating is probably coming through the same way, so it's a good time to switch back and forth between the two. We're in some heavy grass now, but a Horny Toad is the same thing as a buzzbait. I think a lot of people have got it in their mind that, a Horny Toad, you gotta have vegetation to throw it around, which is not the case at all, really.